Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the A Face for Radio video series, WAMC's live Instagram arts interview series happening from my house, my guest room. I'm Sarah LaDuke. I'm very excited today to speak with, for the first time, I've never interviewed him before, Mark Erelli, who is a extremely talented singer and songwriter, multi-instrumentalist. He writes his own music and tours. He has been a sideman for many talented touring musicians and recording musicians as well. Like I said, we've never spoken before, so I'm super psyched he agreed to do this with me. And I'm sorry that I'm playing with my hair so much. I'll stop in a second. Okay. I want to give you a little promo before I welcome Mark. Tomorrow I'm going to speak with Jennifer Trainer Thompson from Hancock Shaker Village. She is going to talk to me about what the village is doing, obviously, while they can't be open and welcome visitors. And this is one of their busiest times of year because it is baby animals. The farm is always full of baby animals right around Mother's Day, which is this coming Sunday, reminder. So Jennifer is going to talk to me about what's happening at Hancock Shaker Village in Pittsfield and walk around and show us some baby animals. So that should be pretty cool. And then on Friday, I'm going to speak with McQueen Adams. McQueen is a mixed master synth using comedy video dude. He does like his whole own thing. He's toured opening for Radiohead. He lives in the Berkshires, and we did an interview when his album came out last year or earlier this year, or Time Has Lost All Meaning. I don't know when it was, but McQueen's going to be on Friday. But today, as I mentioned, I am speaking with Mark Erelli. I'm going to go find him in the people here and invite him on in. Waiting for Mark. Connecting. Hi.
Hey, is this working?
It is working. I can hear you. I can see you.
Amazing.
Can you hear me? You can hear me. You can see me. You're responding to what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is the first time I've done this. So, yeah, here I am.
Here you are. It's very nice to meet you virtually. I keep saying it's silly that I've never talked to you before.
Why haven't we done this? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, we would have done it a different way because normally I'm just a radio person, no face involved.
Absolutely.
but yeah. So thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Can we start by having you tell us where you are and how you're surviving, what you're comfortable sharing with where you're living and how you're living during the stay-home period?
Yeah. Well, I live in a town called Melrose, Massachusetts, which is just outside of Boston. So your garden variety Boston suburb, though one of the better ones. And I'm in my basement office, which, because of the way that it's framed, this actually looks neat. If I were to show you anything like that way or that way, it's pretty cluttered. It's very utilitarian, shall we say. And so we're just here. Until yesterday, when I took the boys for a walk in the woods, that was maybe 20 minutes away. I haven't been more than 5 minutes from the house since like March 12th.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like most people, just trying to stay at home and stay safe. And everyone in the house has been healthy and hopefully remains healthy. My wife works in healthcare. So that's a little bit of a concern, but she's been doing stuff from home, so that's been good. Okay. And yeah, we're just, healthy and stir crazy at the same time.
Of course. No, it's a huge part of managing, I found, as I talk to a lot of people about this, is the being grateful for what you have and balancing that with the concern about the whole world falling apart, falling to pieces, which we thought we were getting used to, and then it took a whole intensified turn.
Yeah, I mean, I've been taking some solace in the fact that I've been amazed that we still hadn't hit the bottom before all this happened. I was like, okay, I'm still able to be shocked and appalled. I kind of felt like that was a good thing, At the same time, I was like starting to think there's probably not a bottom to this, right? But I still didn't. I mean, I didn't see this coming. I knew someday something like this would happen, but I didn't know when. So yeah, this is a challenging time, and it's tough to balance, concern and acknowledgement with, the very real effects happening out there, the people on the front lines and people getting sick and people dying, which is all just unspeakably sad. And, you know, there's stuff closer to home, you know, like my job is gone
Right.
for the foreseeable future. And, you know, I'm not like on the front lines of any kind of healthcare, but I do think that music and art is kind of on the front line of kind of what keeps us all sane. You know, I think after having been locked inside with our families now for 7 or 8 weeks, we all are on the same page that like time with the family is great, but that's not the only thing that keeps you sane.
Right. No, of course not. Of course not.
No. Yeah.
You said the boys. How many kids do you have?
I have 2 boys. I hope you cannot hear them.
No.
I've given them a talking to.
It's all right. This is
allowed
at home.
to play.
Like we're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, they are allowed to play video games when dad has an interview or has to film a video. I cannot tell you how many takes they have messed up because they'll shout out, you know, they're playing video games with like a headset, like earphones and a headset. They're talking to their friends. I'm not a big fan of video games normally, but this is the only way they can interact with their friends right now.
Sure.
So we've relaxed the rules a little bit, but the microphone is right here in front of their face and they're screaming. And I'm like as far away in our tiny house as I can possibly get, trying to like record a video of a song in my bedroom without showing any dirty clothes or anything. And they're like ruining takes left and right. It's like, oh my God.
So
it can't work like this.
So their ages are?
They're 12 and 9.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So they're yelling into microphones right in front of their faces. I hate to say that I relate. I'm not yelling right now, but on calls with friends, my husband is always putting his hand on like my shoulder or my leg, being like, "You're screaming."
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm excited. My friends are on my dining room table and I'm excited.
Yeah, those Zoom calls can be pretty rowdy. I know.
So you have a new album out that came out and you're probably supposed to be touring for it right now.
What day is today?
Today is May 6th.
May 6th. Yep. Today was supposed to be the first show of the album release tour in New York City. Mm-hmm. And it's taken a long time to not have those kinds of thoughts. Like, well, today I would have been in the Netherlands. Today I would have been going to Oregon with Mark Cohen. You know, like today the album was coming out. I'd say like the first month was just like a cascade daily of those kinds of things. Because we'd worked really hard to set the record up and with the team that I had kind of assembled this time around, we had been able to do that as good or better than I'd ever done it before. So I had done all the kind of busy work and the, you know, promotional stuff and filming the videos and updating social media and all that stuff. And it was like, if I can just get to the gigs where I can like turn up the guitar and have some fun. It was
right,
like
play the music.
To that point. And it was like, and scene, like right before the music. It was like, oh,
that is hard.
So, yeah, that's been a challenging part of it. But the flip side of it is that I'm a huge fan of records, and in the time when live, you know, the music industry in the last few years, it's all been all about live music. That's all you hear is you got to tour. You know, the albums are just advertisements for the tours and all this stuff. And you know, I resented that kind of outlook too, because like someday the gigs will be done, you know, like for good. When I'm not here anymore, I can't do any more gigs, you know, but the albums will still be here. And so for me, the albums are like the most important thing. There can be no other more important thing like this. I want to make something that I feel comfortable with them, like shooting out into space. If I'm so lucky, you know, like every time, that's what I'm trying to do. So this you know, this situation we find ourselves in, I think people are live streaming things, and that's great. But I think also people are kind of maybe reconnecting with listening to records and you know, however they want to do it. And I think that's great because there's this dynamic that I keep hearing about, like live music is this ephemeral, fleeting, beautiful thing, and records are kind of like stayed, and it's a snapshot of a document. It's unchanging, and that's true. The records don't necessarily change, but you change, and then you listen to them, and I'm listening to things that I listened to in high school, and I'm not the same person that I was in high school, and so I hear different things, and so for me, you know, that's a silver lining in some of this, that, you know, I put a record out there and I'm not getting to tour it, but I feel like people are actually really hearing the record, which, you know, you're always trying to put over well in concert. And so this time I don't have to worry about anything getting lost in translation.
You recorded the album in Nashville, is that right?
Yeah, just outside of Nashville in Franklin, Tennessee. And I thought I saw in the little scroll here that maybe my drummer from the record, Jamie Dick, might have joined the conversation. And so if Jamie's out there, we'll say hi to him. And yeah, I just was looking to make a record with people that I had connected with over the years in my travel, musicians that I had really just made a really fast and deep connection with. And I started to think of names of those people, and they all happen to be guys, but they all happen to live in Nashville or thereabouts. And so I went down to Nashville to make the record just because it was easier to have me go down there than to have all of them come up to Boston.
Sure.
I didn't go down there to make like a country record per se, but all sorts of great musicians down there, and I was so glad to get to change it up this time around.
Tell me about your musical and personal relationship with Zachariah Hickman, please.
Oh, yeah. Do you know Zach?
I know him. I'm a fan. I've met him one time, and we're big fans of Josh Ritter in my house and friends circle, and so we know Josh from him touring with we know Zach from him touring with Josh.
Absolutely, yeah. I met Zach. Well, Josh and I were on the same record label years and years ago, but I did not meet Zach during that time. I met him.
Was it Signature Sounds?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was still on Signature when I met Zach. Josh had moved on. Zach actually produced my final record that I released on Signature. But Zach and I met on a Jake Armerding gig, another fellow friend, where we were backing him up and we were part of the band. And in fact, I took the gig because I had heard. I was like, well, who's in the band? And he's like, oh, so and Zach Hickman's on bass. And I was like, yes, you know what, I am free that night. And because I'd just been familiar with his stuff and his approach and his vibe, and he seemed like a cool guy, and I was like, we're gonna cross paths one of these days. And so we finally did. And I think I asked him to produce what would be my next record and my final record on Signature, like literally that night. It was like the connection was that immediate, and that was in 2007.
Mm-hmm. Good number of years.
So yeah, and we've played on he's played on my records, he's produced some of my records, we've played on other people's records and gigs together. We play in a bluegrass band together called Barnstar, and
right. Yep.
And I've joined Josh's band on occasion with Zach, and probably because of Zach. So yeah, he's just been a constant advocate and a really good friend, and he produced Blindsided, and he just knocked it out of the park.
How do you, and this might get a little in the weeds, but go as far as you want. Like, how do you work with your album producer? How do you work with Zach or anybody else when you are putting a record together? You've been working on songs for X number of months, and then they're ready. You've picked them, they're ready for an album. What is that process like? How does that work for you?
Well, for me, it just involves hiring people whose work I really admired, either as a producer or as a musician. And once I'm able to get the people that I really respect and admire, I just try and stay out of their way and let them do the things that is what made me want to hire them in the first place,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, that's what I appreciate when people hire me as a sideman. Like I'm I'm not really like a hired gun kind of guy. Like I mostly work with people I know. That's changed a little bit in recent years, and everybody has a number, of course. But for the most part, people just hire me to be me on their gigs, and I like that. It's quite easy. I don't have to change, gears too much. So with Zach and with the guys on the record, it's like I have total faith in them, and I'm such fans of theirs, and the last thing I want them to do is hold back in any way. And if I feel really strongly about something that comes up, I will say something, and on occasion there's something that it's like, no, I really want it this way. And it's an easy conversation because you talk it out, and at the end of the day it's like, well, your name's on the record,
right? It's yours.
So go for it. I can't really ever recall a serious disagreement or like a fight in the studio with anyone. I can recall times with myself where I was frustrated that I couldn't live up to, the people around me. But for the most part, I'm just so honored to be working with everyone that I'm able to get on all these records that, by the time you get in the studio, it's just fun. It's not supposed to feel like work, really.
I'm Sarah LaDuke. This is the A Face for Radio video series. Today my guest is Mark Erelli. Mark, do you want to talk about the sort of mood surrounding the time you were writing the songs for this album, how you were feeling? I know we all know what world we are living in, so that gets in, certainly. But do you want to talk about sort of the mood and your realizations as you got the songs ready for this record?
Yeah, I've written a lot of songs about like the world, and there's maybe just a one song like that on this record, as opposed to maybe other records where there were more worldly concerns on display. This one was a lot more interior record, and I'll be 46 in a month or so, so I'm kind of like in the middle, hopefully, of life. And so I think you're old enough to have had some life experiences and to have some successes, and have had some real disappointments and real loss, and yet you're still young enough that you can remember what it was like to be a kid. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. So it's a really interesting perspective. And I think growing up as a fan of like rock and roll and pop music before I kind of found folk and singer-songwriters and Americana, I think there was this notion that like, well, it's better to burn out than to fade away, right? Like it's like everything good that you were going to do is going to happen when you were younger. But the kind of circles and the kind of artists that I love, that's not how it works
right.
at all. So, for this record, it felt like a little bit like I was catching a wave, writing a lot of songs about just, the distance between where you thought you'd be and where you are, the person that you think you are, and maybe the person that you come across to other people. And, songs about, fighting for kind of what you believe in, what you love, the people you love. Just trying to keep yourself accountable, kind of personally and artistically, just writing the most honest songs you can and performing them or recording them as best you can. And I feel I'm happy and proud of all my records, but this one is a real favorite of mine. It feels like a high water mark of sorts, if I'm able to say things like that. Like,
sure.
Yeah, so it is. I'll just say it, and then everyone else will start saying it, and that's the way they'll think about it.
Right.
That's how it works.
Landmark, record breaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is better than Bob did. No.
The album is called Blindsided. I don't know if we've said that yet. It's Blindsided. It's out on Soundly Music. You just wrote a song called The Gig at the End of the World and put out an animated video for it. I want you to tell me about the song, and then tell me why you know how to animate a video from your house.
Well, okay, so the song is about, it started as like a tongue-in-cheek sort of celebration of rock and roll that I wrote after I went to go see the last concert that I saw. It's maybe the Wednesday of the second week of March, I think it was. My friends have a band called the Western Den, this great kind of indie folk rock band, and they're always Denny Levinka is the lead singer, and I've known her for years, and she's sung on my records and sung with me live. But the Western Den, you know, there are these 20-something like Berkeley kids, and they're always doing gigs at like 11 o'clock on a Wednesday.
Yeah, and you're like, oh no, sorry, I'm actually dead at that point.
Yeah,
every day I have to support you, but.
Yeah, exactly. 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. Tuesday is essentially, you know, Wednesday to me at that point.
Yeah.
But when they came through town, I went to the gig because I just really hadn't seen them in a while. She'd gotten married since the last time they'd come through town. So I wanted to catch a gig. And things were like really heating up, like by the hour. And I convinced my wife that I was going to go and just kind of hang back. And she's like, all right, go for it. And try not to look at my phone at the gig, but, you know, people are there. They're looking at their phones in between every band. It's like,
right.
Tom Hanks is sick. You know, they just canceled the NBA. Like they've shut off international travel, you know. And I was about to leave for a tour overseas in a few weeks from then. So I was just like, what is even happening? And yet they were playing like it was, you know, their kind of hometown gig, which it was, and they were having a great time, and it was a beautiful thing, and against the backdrop of this just craziness. And so I woke up early the next morning and wrote the song, and didn't think anything of it at all, other than like, oh, it's good. I'm writing again, because that tends to fall away around like the release of a record, because there's just so much to do.
Sure.
And so then that was Thursday when I wrote it. Thursday evening, they said the schools were closing for a half day on Friday so they could clean over the weekend. And then Friday morning, they said schools will be closed at 12 indefinitely.
Yep. So
things were moving very quickly, and I suddenly found myself the next week with boys at home, and you know, the homeschooling curriculum from the district was not up and running yet, of course. So we were just trying to find something to fill the days. And so one of those things was a home recording project with my son, my older son, who's very musical. And I said, let's do the new song. Like, it's kind of rock and roll. It's kind of fun. Like, you can help me with it. So we recorded it at home, and my younger son helped with the hand claps at the very end. And we kind of left it where it was, and then I'd catch people singing it around the house. Like, the boys would sing lines from it, and it just felt like there was something going on. Like, it was kind of like a little bit of a battle cry or celebration for even just people in the house. So I started to think of like, well, how else could I engage with this song? And I thought, well, it'd be great if I had a video, but I just did like a bunch of videos for my actual record, and there's no money, and no gigs with which to make more money. So I was like, I wonder if I could make a video. And this goes to the second part of your question about how do you know how to animate video? Yeah,
it's great.
Well, thanks. I don't. I do have a background in visual arts. Like I growing up, that was like my first love, was like drawing and stuff like that. And it's been a while since I've kind of connected with that. But for this project, I was like, let me just see if I can make the things that I see in my head happen in real life. And, you know, I had a few wins early on where I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted it to do. And so I just kept going. And once we had the video, even then it just felt like this kind of thing that I'm doing at home to amuse myself and keep my own self from going crazy. Because I'm sure you've heard this from other people in this series, like in this time, like my normal tools have been completely blunted. It's not like I want to sit around and write songs. There's no gigs to play. There's nothing to rehearse for. all of a sudden it's like all my normal coping, I can't go to the Y even to like exercise. It's like all the normal coping mechanisms that I have, of which there are like 3, are all gone. And so there are 2 things that made me feel better. One was playing like electric guitar in my office very loud, along with, music I love. And then the other thing was working on this project, which, was kind of a different medium for me in animation, but just seeing like, what the hell, like, let's see if we can do it. And it came out great. It's pretty rough around the edges, but it's also pretty kind of charming in its.
I think it looks fantastic. We're talking about The Gig at the End of the World. It's a new song by Mark Erelli, who's right there. You can see him if you're watching this. And the video's on YouTube. It's on your channel on YouTube, and you linked it from your website. Did you have to put in a lot of hours to get it where you wanted it, where you uploaded it?
I probably shouldn't admit how much time I spent thinking about it, even when I wasn't actually working on it, which is the way that it is for me in any kind of project. I'll be like running scenarios, like artistic chess in my head. Like, well, if I do this, then maybe this will happen. And, my wife, in between projects, God bless my wife, like when I'm in a project, it's like, you're talking to me, but I'm maybe responding, but I'm probably not really hearing you, and I'm trying to get better at that. But it's to a certain extent, it's just the way that I'm wired, and that's kind of what makes this whole time so weird. It's that, like, I haven't been home for whatever it is, 8 weeks now. I haven't been home this long ever in my adult life.
Yeah. Erin McKenna was my first guest on the series, and she said the same thing. She was like, I've never slept this many consecutive nights in my own bed in my own house. And I was like, yeah, you guys live this troubadour nomad life. It's very weird to stay home. Very weird to stay home.
It is, and there's things that I've realized, like, for example, my toiletries stay in, like, my Dove Kit bag. Like, I have, like, my toiletries bag. I just come home and I hang it up on the back of the bathroom door. I don't unpack anything ever, because I'll forget it. And then I'll be, in Nebraska, and I don't have floss or whatever, and I get pissed off. So I just, I never unpack the toiletries, and I still haven't. But the other day I looked at it and I was like, I wonder if there's some drawer space around here. Like, maybe I should, the old habits, they die hard. And I'm not really sure what to cling to and what to let go of yet. Well, maybe we'll find out.
You can work on your new gig as an animator, an illustrator and animator.
I mean, I'm available, people. If there's a job, let's talk. I only know how to do one kind of animation, though. So
that's all right. People are looking for it, probably. You're gonna sing a song for us, yeah?
Why not?
I would love it. What do you want to do?
God, maybe I was gonna do something from the record. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Something from the record.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully this doesn't blow the mic out here. Not too loud, but
if it is, I'll do something so you know to stop and start again. But if it's not, if I'm just like chilling, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, this is a song called "Stranger's Eyes" from the record, and it goes like this. I watch you go about your days in your ordinary haze, like there's nothing wrong. I'm worried about our prognosis. You don't even notice we're barely holding on to this love. It used to be so strong. Now I feel so all alone, wondering where we went wrong. And after all this time, I thought maybe you could read my mind, but you look at me with a stranger's eye. We said for better or worse, now we're running in reverse, falling out of love. And honey, I can't tell, is there someone else, or am I not enough for you anymore? But I'm the same I always been. And if you figure me out once, baby, maybe you can learn to love me again. And after all this time, I thought maybe you could read my mind. But you look at me with a stranger's eyes. With a stranger's eyes. Time can be a thief and leave you blinded. Baby, all we need is to be reminded. Reminded. And after all this time, I thought maybe you could read my mind. But you look at me with a stranger's eye. After all this time, I thought maybe you could read my mind. But you look at me with a stranger's eye. With a stranger's eye. Ah, thank you.
Right. That's Mark Erelli singing Stranger's Eyes from his new record, Blindsided, which is out from Sound & Music. I didn't think about, when I asked you to perform a song, how I would be sitting here watching you sing a song.
Yeah, it's like there's just one person right in the front row, and they're just right there.
Thanks for doing the song for me. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. Sorry. Could have been a lot worse.
Thank you so much for doing that. Now, I had asked you in an email if you wanted to suggest any kind of content that you're enjoying or that's entertaining you at home that you want to pay forward or recommend to other listeners.
Sure.
Viewers.
Yeah, well, I guess, we finished Homeland, which was great. It's not like comforting material, but there was something something kind of weirdly comforting about it all. So we watched Homeland, we watched Jack Ryan, we've watched Ozark, which was really great, and there's a whole bunch of movies that I want to see, but nobody else wants to see them, so I'll basically never see those, I don't think.
No?
Usually I watch that stuff on the road. Like, nobody wants to see the Joker in this house, and it's not appropriate for the boys. And it's like, I would watch it on an airplane, but I'm not going on an airplane. So I'll see it eventually. I think now we watched this Showtime series called I'm Dying Up Here, which is like a drama about comedians.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure about it, but now I'm kind of hooked. So we're working our way through that, and the new Star Wars, the final Star Wars, just came out on Disney Plus, so we had to watch that. Yeah, so nothing like, there's no like art house cinema going on up in here. It's just like and I have no tolerance for like flipping around. Like, I'm the rare male that does not want the remote control. Like, do not make me flip through all these screens. Like, just tell me what we're watching. Let's watch that.
Sure.
So I'm maybe not the best judge of what to watch, but Ozark was pretty great, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's absurd that I've not watched it because everybody says it's just fantastic. I like the cast a lot. I'll get to it. I'll get to it.
It'll be worth it. And I suppose if nobody out there has seen, if there's anyone that hasn't seen The Wire, I think there are people, like, every once in a while on Twitter, someone will, you know, jump out and say, like, I haven't seen The Wire yet.
I've never even seen The Wire. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I was accidentally not intentionally that person until a year and a half ago, but I've watched it all now. And it's, I mean, it's not like I didn't think it was as good as everybody said. I mean, there's not a doubter in the least. I just, like, I don't know, didn't make the time for it, or didn't, I don't know. But it's, yeah, it's as good as everyone says.
Yeah, sometimes if people are raving about something, I'm like, well, hold on now. That happens to me with music. It's like, if there's like a debut record that everyone's talking about, it's like, well, let me see how their third record is. You know, if it's really good, if they're still around, I'll go back and listen. You know, it's a weird thing I have, but yeah, there's lots of great stuff out there, and I'm open to recommendations too. So maybe I'll even get to Game of Thrones. Like, I don't know, that's the one for me that I couldn't do. I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons even, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that could be a long conversation. We don't need to have one.
Yeah, I know. I probably just opened ourselves up to like this whole thread here. Yeah.
No, my buddy Zap Oris is on, and he says that he's still that person who hasn't seen The Wire. So now we can publicly shame him. Rich, watch. I mean, come on, dude. Watch The Wire, man.
I can't shame anyone, because they're going to be like, I'll watch The Wire if you watch Game of Thrones. And I'm like, you know, I don't know if I can make that
no, we don't have to. Watch what that's, and yeah, I'm not really, I take back and reabsorb the shaming, because watch what you need to watch, everybody out there, whatever is calling you, watch that.
I know, right?
There's enough hard stuff without me beating you up for not seeing The Wire.
Oh, yet. There's so much great, there's a lot of great TV out there. And it's almost too much to take in, but and I actually have watched way more TV than I normally would. That's not a normal occurrence. So yeah, that's another thing in quarantine that's different.
And you mentioned playing your electric guitar loudly along with other records, other albums. Any music recommendations?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I guess I should say, like, I have a bunch of really amazingly talented friends that are still putting out records. They still have stuff in the pipeline that they've been working on for several years now. And so, as you know, Tom Petty does not need me to talk about how great he is on here and how much I enjoy playing electric guitar with him. But like, Maya de Vitry has an amazing new record out, and Laura McKenna's got a new record coming out that's going to just dissolve everybody into a puddle of tears. And Laura Cortese's got a record coming out that's really great. That's not out yet. There's stuff that's come out recently.
She's on the chat right now, Laura Cortese.
Oh,
she's in the comments, sending you hard eyes.
Hi, Laura. Laura and I normally talk at like 4 a.m. when I wake up, because she's in Europe, and she's the only person I know that's up at that hour. But
that's when you get up for the day, or when you have an insomnia bout and need to talk on the phone?
In the time of pandemic anxiety, apparently 4:30 is like my sweet spot. I'm a morning person as it is. I've never slept late, and it's a total curse in my line of work.
Yeah.
Except when the band needs to get to the airport, and I'm like,
sure,
I got it. I can do this. But yeah, I'm a morning person, so I get up at anywhere between 4 and 5, and everyone else usually gets up around 7, and so I'll spend those couple of hours either writing or checking on the news and social media and kind of stressing out about that stuff, and trying to just get it out of the way, so that when the kids wake up and my wife wakes up, I'm not like, ah!
Yeah. No,
you know, I can. It has to be done.
Yeah. No, I had that in the whenever it was that the current resident of the White House said the thing about disinfectants and UV lights and stuff. I didn't hear about it that night. I read about it first thing in the morning, and I honestly, for the first time, I was like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't know about this last night. Like, it still happened, and it's dreadful, but I like went to bed not knowing that, and I had one more night's sleep not knowing that, so that's nice. But then, yeah, my husband and I ping pong all day with like today, for instance, I was like, the New York State primary is back on. And he was like, yeah, I heard that. And then he's like, this. And I'm like, yeah, I heard that. Like we're 15, 20-ish feet away from each other, but just like getting things at different times and different feeds. And
it's a challenging thing to keep track of. I was actually making dinner. Mostly my wife has been cooking because she's an amazing cook, but I was making dinner one night on the night that disinfectant hearing happened, or a briefing happened. And I don't normally watch it, but I did watch it. I did have it on that night. And I think I almost cut my thumb off when I heard it. I was like slicing vegetables and I heard that and I was like, what? And I was like, oh God, like, you know, just craziness. But I won't give him too much airplay here, I guess. But it's a crazy time.
Mark, it's been really fantastic to virtually meet you and speak with you. Thank you so much for joining the series, for being here with me today. Welcome to my guest room. It looks like this.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for teaching me how to join somebody's video. Like, mind blown. Had no idea that was even possible. And it's great to finally meet you two, and we'll just have to do this in a studio somewhere when we can.
When we can, definitely. Thank you again.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Mark Erelli's new album is Blindsided. It's out from Soundly Music, available in all the formats and all the places. Help yourself to it. It is very beautiful. It has a wonderful song on it called Rose Colored Rearview that's about, were things really better back in the day? That's a wonderful song. And there's another one. There's 11 songs on the album. I'm going to tell you about another one I particularly enjoyed, which is called A Little Kindness, and you can kind of intuit what that might be about. But it's an absolutely beautiful album by Mark Erelli. That's M-A-R-K-E, and I'm worried about numbers of E's and numbers of L's. M-A-R-K-E-R-E-L-L-I, Mark Erelli. MarkErelli.com. And thank you very much for being here. Thanks again to Mark for joining me. This is the A Face for Radio video series. I'm filling in a little gap in the WAMC programming. We need to be at the station very news focused, giving people updates on their areas, towns throughout the region. So on top of everything else, apparently it's going to snow in the elevations this weekend. So cool. But anyway, at the station, all my colleagues, my coworkers are working very hard to bring you the newsy stuff that you need to know. And you can, of course, tune into any WAMC frequency or online at WAMC.org. We were supposed to have a fund drive on June 1st. It's not going to happen. Normally we have a room full of volunteers all sitting in close proximity and kind of sharing snacks, and all of these things are just not possible right now. So we are doing a big lockbox push to meet our fundraising goal ahead of the date the drive would even start. So you can donate online at WAMC.org if you are able to. We know that financial concerns are very real. One wouldn't have guessed they could get realer, but then everybody had to stop working and staying home. So if you can afford it, you know you can. If you cannot, no problem. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow I'm going to speak with Jennifer Trainer Thompson from Hancock Shaker Village, and we're going to see some baby animals. Should be a nice little relief. And then on Friday I'm speaking with McQueen, and he's going to do some bleeps and bloops for us with some of his scents. And he's a good dude. It'll be a fun conversation. I really like him. So that is coming up Thursday at 1 and Friday at 1. Again, WAMC.org for your other WAMC content. I'm Sarah LaDuke. Thank you for tuning in, and stay safe in there.